Hello and welcome. Today I want to show you some changes that NotebookLM has made, or Google has made, in NotebookLM's video overviews in their Pro account specifically. So this is just notebooklm.google.com. This is their homepage. They've also, I think, added featured notebooks to Pro accounts. It just kind of cycles. It never actually loads, so I'm going to scroll down because I kind of find that annoying. But once you get here, this is just the home page, and you can either create a new notebook or go into an existing notebook. I'll go into an existing one because I have them here already. And then if you're not familiar with NotebookLM, you basically create notebooks, you add sources, and then you do stuff with the sources, either chat with them or create artifacts. There's all kinds of depth with that. But what this is about the video overview. So you have to have at least one source added, you have to have it selected. And then in the video overview, if you click on what's now the arrow, used to be pencil, you get this customized video overview window. And this is different. So this used to have different options where you can choose your visual styling, and then you could do either explainer or brief and then put in details. Cinematic is new. This has only been here for, I don't know, a couple of days, and I don't know why they got rid of the visual styles, but they did. This is also only on our Pro account. We also have a free account, and we have a Plus. We don't have an Ultra account. I'm assuming that Ultra also looks like this, but I can't verify that. But just to show you the difference, let me switch over to the free account. And I'll go, again, same thing. This is the home page. The featured notebooks load on here. And then I'll go into a recent notebook, same thing, have a source added, selected. And then if I go to video overview, this is the way our Pro account used to look, explainer and brief. And then I had this visual style selector here. Again, this is gone on the Pro account. I'm not sure why, but because I think this is actually kind of useful, at least to get people started. But anyway, going back to the Pro account, I now have the cinematic option. And what I'll do is, which notebook? I'm in the recipes notebook. Let me think of a video to create. And I'm picking cinematic format, and then my description here is just to create an overly dramatic video about the challenges of getting the sear right on your ribeye. Yeah. So let me generate, and the videos usually take a while. This is always the message that they have here, but the videos really do take a while. Like I've had some of these take 15, 20 minutes. So I'll let that run, and then I will edit out the middle piece, and I'll come back when this is done. Okay, so video's done. And again, these take a while. This one took about 20 minutes. And let me go into it here and show you what it looks like. I'll probably play the whole thing because it's about 4 minutes. It's really good though. It's probably worth the wait, but you can decide for yourself. I'll expand it as much. And if you're not familiar with the video overviews, you have a couple of options. You can change the playback speed. You can like rewind or skip forward 10 seconds. You can full screen it, and you can basically show your prompt or share it. Again, I will just play the video through. You can watch as much of it as you want. Again, it's 4 minutes and 18 seconds. I will run through the whole thing, and then that's it.
Look at this piece of meat. It is gray, tough, and completely devoid of texture. A raw ribeye starts as a premium cut of beef. It comes from the rib section of the cow, loaded with dense fat marbling that guarantees a rich, savory flavor and a highly tender bite. But instead of a caramelized, crispy exterior that locks in those juices, we are left with a sad, boiled-looking surface. To figure out how a beautiful cut of beef ended up like this, we need to trace the cook backward and isolate the 3 specific mistakes that destroyed it. Ruining a steak like this is never a matter of bad luck. It is the direct result of a predictable, entirely preventable chain of physical reactions. The first breakdown happened before the meat even hit the heat. This steak was taken straight out of the refrigerator and dropped directly into the pan. This graph tracks a hot pan's surface temperature over time. Introducing cold meat causes a severe temperature crash, known as thermal shock. The pan's temperature plummets, leaving the meat in weak heat. This creates thick, gray bands of overcooked edges around a raw center. The fix is simple. You force the raw meat to sit on the counter at room temperature for 30 to 60 minutes before you even turn on the stove. The second error occurred right on the surface of the meat. This ribeye was cooked while still dripping with residual moisture from its packaging. Water is the enemy of a good crust. When you put wet meat into hot oil, that surface moisture rapidly converts to steam. Instead of searing the beef, that steam effectively boils the exterior, completely preventing the Maillard reaction. The Maillard reaction is a chemical process between amino acids and reducing sugars that gives browned food its distinctive flavor. By failing to control the starting temperature and the surface moisture, the cook guaranteed there would be no crust before the cooking even officially began. The third mistake happened at the stove, through a combination of weak heat and nervous hands. A thin frying pan simply cannot retain enough thermal energy, and using a low smoke point oil means the fat will burn off before it gets hot enough to cook the meat properly. A proper setup requires a heavy cast iron skillet, preheated on high for 3 to 4 minutes, coated with a high-heat fat like avocado or grapeseed oil. But even with the right pan, the cook disrupted the execution by constantly moving the meat. Premature flipping repeatedly breaks the contact between the beef and the cast iron, actively stopping the crust from forming. There is a strict operational rule for the pan. Once the steak goes in, it must sit completely undisturbed for 3 to 4 minutes per side. Achieving a perfect sear requires absolute commitment to building an extreme thermal environment and the discipline to let that heat do its job. Let's look at how this should actually be done. We start with a room temperature ribeye, thoroughly patted dry with paper towels and seasoned with salt and pepper. When that properly prepped steak hits the cast iron, the intense heat immediately begins converting the exterior proteins and sugars. This data table visualizes the required internal temperatures for different levels of doneness. To hit the ideal medium rare, you need to pull the meat from the heat right as the thickest part reaches 135 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll know you've succeeded when you flip the steak and see a dark, deeply caramelized golden brown crust covering the entire surface. But there is one final trap waiting at the finish line. If you take that hot steak and immediately slice into it, you will lose all the moisture you just worked so hard to retain. You must transfer the meat to a plate, cover it loosely with foil, and let it rest for 5 full minutes. This pause allows the violently heated internal juices to relax and redistribute evenly throughout the muscle tissue. Cooking a restaurant-quality ribeye at home relies entirely on the precise management of heat, moisture, and patience. When the rules are followed, you get a perfectly tender, incredibly juicy piece of beef.
So that's the video, and so if you remember the prompt, I asked it to be overly dramatic, and it really was. There were a lot of points in there where it was just like, they really overdid this, but I asked them to. So, I mean, I think for the new format of just like the cinematic and like that combined with me asking for it to be overly dramatic, I think that executed really, really well. So just kind of recapping this, it's like if you have used the video overviews and you have a pro account, it will look a little different. So if you just go to notebooklm.google.com, you either create a new notebook or go into an existing one, add a source, select a source, and then when you go to video overview, your demo like formats will be gone now, and then you will have a new output format of cinematic. Explainer and brief have been here for a while, but cinematic is new. I've done several of them now. They all work really well. Again, you don't need a complicated prompt. Obviously, you can do a complicated prompt, and it can usually handle those just fine. But the prompt that I just used with that really was pretty straightforward. And again, it will take a while for these to generate. It's like some of the other artifacts will take, a minute, 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Like I said, this one that I just did took about 20 minutes. One of the other ones I did recently, it took about 30. So video overview, I mean, unless you really want to sit and wait for it, you can go and do something else, whether it's in NotebookLM or in a different program. But that's it. So, I mean, try it out and see what you think, and we'll see you next time.